Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Dr. Meenakshi Mohan, final year postgraduate from Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education. My topic for today's presentation is a nodular enigma, rare presentation in an adolescent boy. My guides are Dr. Dharani, Dr. Julius Scott, and Dr. Mahesh. We had a 15-year-old boy who presented with complaints of raised skin lesion for a duration of 4 months. Skin lesions first appeared as single raised, nodular, painful, and hyperpigmented lesions starting with the left eye. It gradually progressed to multiple lesions over bilateral upper limb, lower limb, and involvement of the trunk as well. As the lesions spontaneously resolved, they became hard and indurated. Simultaneously, there were active lesions at the other sides. Constitutional symptoms: the child had fever, high grade with occasional chills, intermittent in nature and no diurnal variation, and a significant weight loss for the past 3 months. There was no significant past history, family, or medical history. The child was extensively evaluated at outside centers, and investigations revealed severe anemia, leukopenia, and thrombocytopenia. CRP and ACE levels were elevated. Manto was negative, LFT normal, blood culture and urine culture sterile. Outside pathological evaluation, FNAC was not conclusive, and excision biopsy was done, which showed papillary dermal edema, perivascular and adnexal inflammatory infiltrate with a mixed paniculatus picture that was consistent with erythema nodosum. With this background, the child was treated with antibiotics for 2 weeks and a trial of steroids and ATT with very, very minimal response for the empirical treatment. Following this, the child was referred for further management to Ramachandra. Here, on examination, his vitals were stable. He had pallor, pedal edema, no lymphadenopathy. On systemic examination, there was no evidence of hepatosplenomegaly. The skin nodules were nodular lesions, tenderness was present, and there was induration with involvement of all 4 limbs with simultaneous active and healed lesions. To summarize, it was a 15-year-old boy with painful skin nodules and high-grade persistent fever with significant weight loss. On examination, there was no bleeding manifestations or lymphadenopathy or hepatosplenomegaly. He had pancytopenia with probable erythema nodosum by histology and was referred after a failed trial of steroid and ATT. With this background, what are the differentials that we could think of were infection like TB, inflammation like sarcoidosis or vasculitis? Could it be lupus, an autoimmune cause, or malignancy like lymphoma? Further investigating here at Ramachandra, it had a similar pancytopenia picture with peripheral smear showing microcytic hypochromic anemia with leukopenia. CRP was 8.4, hypoalbuminemia was there, ANA was negative, and ferritin triglyceride levels were mildly elevated, giving us a hint towards MAS picture. Radiological evaluation was normal, and bone marrow aspiration showed a reactive marrow with occasional hemophagocytes. We further proceeded to do a skin biopsy after 2 weeks from stopping steroids. In scanner view, it showed lobules of adipose tissue with inflammation, and high-power 10x view showed prominent lobular panniculitis. There was diffuse infiltrates of atypical lymphoid cells in the subcutaneous fibroadipose tissue, classically rimming the fat spaces. As there was predominant lobular involvement than septal, it was less likely to be erythema nodosum, and atypical lymphocytes rimming the fat spaces were present. Hence, we came to the DD of lupus panniculitis, cytophagic histiocytic panniculitis, and subcutaneous panniculitis like T-cell lymphoma. To narrow down on the diagnosis, immunohistochemistry was done. Markers were positive for CD3, CD8, CD68, 2, 7, and granzyme B, which was consistent with subcutaneous panniculitis like T-cell lymphoma. Due to social reasons, the child underwent treatment outside and is reportedly doing fine. So, nodules are basically solid, round, or ellipsoid palpable lesions that have a diameter larger than 0.5 centimeters involving the dermis and the subcutaneous tissue. Among them, panniculitis is the inflammation of subcutaneous fat. There is considerable overlap not only clinically but also histologically among various types of panniculitis. The gold standard for diagnosis is histopathological examination, with which we can categorize them into septal and lobar panniculitis. Under septal panniculitis, we have erythema nodosum and rheumatoid nodule. Lobar panniculitis, like lupus panniculitis and cytophagic histiocytic panniculitis. Our cutaneous panniculitis has a similar picture to lobar panniculitis. The 4 DTs we have, erythema nodosum is septal and the other 3 are lobular. Lupus panniculitis and cutaneous lymphoma, we can differentiate with the dermal and epidermal involvement, which is present in lupus panniculitis but absent in subcutaneous panniculitis like T-cell lymphoma. This is a very rare lymphoma that can occur in children with less than 1% incidence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It has slight female preponderance, and the pathology is migration of neoplastic T cells towards the adipocytes, which is facilitated by the CCR5. The clinical presentation is very similar to the child who I presented. He had come with lesions in different stages of healing, suggesting of waxing and weaning clinical course. And the association with lupus condition is 20%, and hemophagocytic syndrome is 10%, which has very poor prognosis as depicted by the graph. The pathology, as we elaborated, classically has lobular panniculitis-like picture, spares the septa, epidermis, and dermis. Infiltrates contain a mixture of neoplastic pleomorphic cells of various sizes and macrophages. And there is classical rimming of the fat spaces by the neoplastic T cells and is a helpful diagnostic feature. The markers, as mentioned, are positive, and the neoplastic T cells show a clonal TCR gene rearrangement. Treatment is using multi-agent chemotherapy, and the alpha beta phenotype has a favorable prognosis with a 5-year survival rate of 85%. Learning points from the management of this case are: rare diseases need symptomatic, clinical, and laboratory approach to arrive at timely appropriate diagnosis. Multidisciplinary, well-coordinated team approach is mandatory for management of such rare disorders with complex presentation. Empirical use of steroids can mask the diagnosis of rare entities and hence need to be reconsidered without appropriate evidence. What the mind does not know, the eyes do not see. I extend my gratitude to the entire team at Ramachandra who helped in the management of this case, and a special thank to the parents and the family.